go potty.
Hello and welcome back to the Darkling Chronicles. My name is Becky. I hope you're having a beautiful day. And if you're not, don't worry. I'm sending you so much love. And we are going to now read some spooky ghost stories. It's been a little while since I've just read pure ghost stories on here. And I'm reading these from my real life ghost stories book. It's time for some ghost tea. I will put the link in the description if you want to go and buy a copy. But this is the perfect coffee table book, or the book that you put next to the toilet, you know, for a little bit of a read. You can dip in and out of all of the stories. These are stories that I've collated from people through TikTok with their permission, of course, and they're brilliant. So if you're new here, can I ask you a massive favor? Can you please hit the follow button? If you've been listening for a little while and you haven't yet subscribed, or hit the follow button, I really appreciate it if you do. It just sends my page further into the realms of the world, and I get more and more ghost stories to give to you lot. So it's a win-win for both of us. If you have a ghost story as well, please email me, thedarklingchronicles25@gmail.com. I would love to have a conversation with you. Failing that, you can find me on Instagram or TikTok, where you can send a message. I don't think you can do it through YouTube, unfortunately. So I'm going to read you some stories from my book. And this one is story 27, and it's called Little Gypsy Girl. You could probably hear me rustling my book as well, because I like to read it from my book. It's really nice just to it feels like story time, and I like that. Now, this person is on my TikTok page, and I believe their name is Music Lover, but I never got to actually learn their real name. I apologise if this is your story. You can, of course, comment and let people know. But this person says, my mother has always had a deep connection to the spiritual world, and one that has revealed itself in the most profound and mysterious ways over the years. One of the most touching experiences she shared is of a little gypsy girl who would appear to her and gently reassure her, saying, "You are going to be okay." At the time, my mum didn't understand the full meaning of those words until she faced one of the most critical moments of her life: open heart surgery for an aortic valve replacement. And before the operation, the same little gypsy girl appeared again, reminding her, "I told you you would be okay." That moment gave my mother both peace and strength during one of the hardest trials. The encounters didn't stop there. After I bought a brand new apartment in 2021, my mother stayed with me and witnessed something extraordinary. She saw a woman and a little girl walking through my bedroom and out the window on multiple occasions. There was no fear and no drama, and it was just a quiet and surreal presence passing through. These kinds of experiences seem to run in our family. And in the 90s, when our grandmother passed away, my sister saw her spirit and described her in full detail, from her clothes to her posture, even though neither of us had attended the funeral or knew what she was wearing. My mother was stunned at how accurate the description was, and even more astonishing was when my sister's daughter, only 3 years old at the time, would sit in her room giggling and having full conversations with someone called Nana Edna. She had no way of knowing who she was, yet when questioned, she described our grandmother Edna with incredible accuracy, someone she had never met. These encounters continued until she was around 6 years old, and then quietly faded. What a brilliant story. That little gypsy girl was almost like a little guardian angel, wasn't she, of reassurance. I know that sometimes children can be quite scary, because obviously lower unclean spirits can show themselves as children, but when it feels this nice, you know that it's some kind of guide, don't you? You know that it's some kind of really positive, beautiful, Christ-like energy that is just helping his mum through this time. And also, why would a low vibe spirit want to help you? They don't want to give you any words of reassurance. They don't want to drag you down. Now we're going to read another story. I'm going to read quite a few on here. I'm going to read probably about 4, 5. So you just relax, okay? I've got you. We're going to be, some of these are a little bit short, and that's why I think I'm going to go for it and read you a few more than I normally would. And I think also it might be time soon to collate another ghost story book. What do you think? I really enjoyed it. I designed books myself, so I put it all together. It's not. I think it's pretty cool for a self design. But I probably need to know what you guys think of it. Just bigging it up. So modest of me. Anyway, this is story 28. The Thing in the Smoke. And this lady was another lady from TikTok. I can't remember her name, but she says, my dad, who has since passed away, told me that he was working in another country and staying in a guest house with 2 other men. He couldn't get to sleep one night, so he decided to sit up and have a cigarette. After a while, he finished his cigarette and lay back down to try and sleep. He noticed that the temperature in the room had dropped considerably. Then he noticed that what he had thought was the smoke from his cigarette was getting thicker and now coming from the corner of the room. It started taking shape, and after a while, it turned into an evil-looking man. It started to move up between the 2 beds in the room. He grabbed his co-worker's pillow and threw it at the spirit. And whoever this person had been in life, they obviously weren't a good person, because when my dad threw the pillow, the spirit reacted and the window broke. And they've put in brackets here, hard to believe, I know. Well, no, because when, some of these bad spirits are angry, they have the perfect ability to break things, don't they? So it makes sense that the window broke. And she says, my dad went to dive after this thing, but his friend grabbed his arm just in time, and the window had already been smashed, and if my dad had gone through it, he would have fallen 13 feet into the courtyard below. 3 weeks later, he returned to the same guest house on his own, which is a bold, brave move, I think. He sat up all night, waiting for the spirit to appear again. But it never did. How brave is he to go back there? I don't know if you're brave or daft, but I think it's brave. I wouldn't go back to somewhere where I'd experienced something that horrific, especially if something unseen is smashing windows. Wild. Absolutely wild. So let's read the next story. Story 29. The Black Orb and the Out-of-Body Nightmare. Now, this story is from Catherine. Catherine has sent us some brilliant stories. The one that's actually on my podcast is The Woman with No Face. I added sound effects and everything to it because it deserved it. It is terrifying. I really recommend you go and find it and listen to it. Now, just for context, Catherine and her husband and her kids were really young at this point. And they lived in what Catherine said was a beautiful Tudor home. It was like her dream house. And this is happening in the same place. She says, one day I felt really unwell and was waiting for my husband to come home from work so I could go to bed for a sleep. She's put in brackets, he started work very early in the morning and finished about 2:30 in the afternoon. The house was totally draining me by this point. Anyway, I got into bed about 3 p.m. and went to sleep straight away. But then, about 4-ish, I woke up with a feeling that something or someone was standing over me. I opened my eyes and can see a black shadow in the corner of the room on the ceiling, and a big black orb flew across the room. I had seen white orbs before, but never a black one. It had gone dark by now, so I quickly turned the light on and everything was fine. That night, we went to bed as normal and I woke up about 3 a.m. with a feeling that I couldn't move a muscle. I was totally paralyzed. Then I started floating up out of my body slowly, higher and higher. Then my body turned over and I could see myself and my husband asleep in bed. I then floated over my husband and came down until my nose was against his, and in bed I was screaming his name to help me, but he couldn't hear me. The next thing I knew, I jumped up and was back in bed. I was so scared I woke my husband up and told him, and he said I was probably dreaming, but I know that it was real. Later that night, I felt a hand holding my hand softly but firmly. I just thought it was my husband's hand, but I looked at the clock and thought, why hasn't he gone to work yet? It's 5 a.m. I turned in the bed and it was empty. He had already gone to work. I wasn't scared of the hand feeling. It felt safe, so I fell back asleep. But this happened again. Something was holding my hand, and I think whoever that was, they were protecting me. Oh, see, initially you think that's terrifying, don't you? And yes, it sounds and would probably be terrifying, but if you get that sense that you're safe, it makes all the difference. But I have actually seen that a black orb has a specific meaning. It's actually meant, I've just looked online and it says a black orb is often said to be the presence of a lower entity or spiritual being. So there you go. I think that there was something definitely dark in her house, and she was being protected by someone there, wasn't she? Which is good. You know, we'll take a hand holding in some protection over a black orb and something terrifying in the corner of the room. So this next one is story 30, and it's called The Cloaked Figure by the Lift. This story has actually provoked a few stories from nurses over the last few months, which, you know, I'm here for. If you are a nurse and you do have some creepy stories, because I know you guys are in the heart of it. You're at the hospital, some strange shit goes down at the hospital, okay? So make sure you message me, email me, thedarklingchronicles25@gmail.com. I would honestly love to have a chat. So this story was from a lady on my TikTok. Forgive me, I can't remember your name. I remember most names, but some of them elude me, and I can't recall in the moment. So this lady says, I worked in a nursing home as a care assistant for 26 years. On one occasion, I had done an early shift and was asked if I could come back at night to do the night shift, as one of the team had gone home sick. I agreed, as I knew a bug was going round at the time and a lot of the committee outside the home had it. During the night, I was doing the checks upstairs and was caught short, needing to use the bathroom. I mean, it happens to all of us, doesn't it? So she says, I used one of the communal bathrooms. Once seated, I could hear footsteps out in the corridor. I was only in there for a minute and thought to myself I would do another check just to see who was out of bed. I checked everyone and no one was out of bed or even awake. It was strange. I asked the other night staff, there were only 3 of us at the time, if they came upstairs, but no one had, so I thought no more about it. On the 3 o'clock round, I went back upstairs to do another check and to change anyone who needed changing. As I walked past the main door leading to the part of the hallway where the communal bathroom was, I happened to turn my head. As I walked past, I glanced through the glass panel of the door, only to see a figure dressed all in black, wearing what looked like a cloak and pointing towards the lift. I had only taken 1 step forward before I had to do a double take. I quickly stepped back and looked through the glass again to see who it was, but they had gone. I walked around the corner I was on. She's put in brackets here, it goes around in a complete circle, but saw no one. Wherever that person had gone, none of the night staff had seen them anywhere in the home. And before my shift had ended, we'd had a death upstairs on that floor. It was not an unexpected death, but it was still a shock to the staff all the same. And I was on the late shift that day, and out of curiosity, I asked the other staff members if they had seen anything or heard anything about it, and no one else had seen the dark figure I encountered on my night shift, but they had heard of other strange happenings over the years from staff, or even experienced unsettling things themselves. Now this next story, oh god, it's really scary, okay? And it's scary because it just goes to show the strength of these dark entities in a space where they have the energy to harm you. This is another one from Catherine, and it actually wasn't something that happened specifically to her this time. However, I'm wondering if Catherine's family are kind of more open to these things happening, because she has a lot of stories and they're really scary. So this one is called The Night Terror in the Mountain Villa. And I've just said a protection prayer because the room went cold. So you're protected too, you're fine. Everyone listening to this, please protect them and keep them safe from all these low vibrational spirits. Thank you very much. We'll go. Now she starts by saying, the hotel we were staying in was not like a high-rise hotel. It was a beautiful 3-story villa dug into the mountains. It was 5-star and it was gorgeous. She says, my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, niece and her husband were at one end of the villa and the rest of us were a fair bit away from them, about a 4-minute walk. Every morning, me and my sister-in-law would meet up early and have the dreaded job of putting all the towels out for everyone. But this morning was different. I met my sister-in-law as usual, and she looked terrible. I asked if she was okay, and she said no. They'd had a terrible night with my niece, her daughter. I asked why, and she started to cry. So we sat on a wall nearby so she could explain to me what had happened. Now, Catherine says we'd all had a great night the night before. It was a really good, fun night, and we all went to bed as normal. But then she says her sister-in-law says around 3 o'clock in the morning, her daughter, Catherine's niece, woke up with the feeling that somebody was watching her, and her husband was fast asleep next to her, and just a bit of light was shining through from the curtains. So her daughter's looked up to the corner of the room, and she can see a dark black shadow on the ceiling, and it terrified her. And the next thing she knew, the dark black shadow was on top of her, pinning her down, holding her by her wrists and her ankles, and she turned her head to see her husband, but he was still asleep. She started to scream his name at the top of her lungs, and he didn't acknowledge her at all. And that was the only thing she could move, her head. She screamed his name louder and louder, but it was as if he was paralyzed himself. She felt like she was being sexually assaulted, is what she's written here, the way that she described it. And her mum and dad, which is Catherine's brother and sister-in-law, heard her screaming. Her dad climbed over the balcony to try and get in the door, but it was locked, and her mum was trying the front door, but that was locked too. Just a second, like, this is terrifying. Can you imagine this being your family on a holiday when it's meant to be like lovely, you've had a beautiful evening the night before, and then you hear your daughter screaming at the top of her lungs? Trying to get to her would be like, I mean, it must have felt like every minute must have felt like a decade. Now, Catherine said that her niece has explained that she felt like she was being scratched and bitten at the same time, and she shouted, "Get off me now!" And it just disappeared and went. She ran out of the door screaming, and she was running naked because it was hot, and then all of a sudden her husband woke up and she didn't know what the hell was going on. She was so traumatized, and they stayed in the reception area until the morning, until everybody got up to tell us what had happened. That's what Catherine said. And she said eventually we calmed her down, and we all sat around the pool talking about what had happened and Googling sleep paralysis. Catherine says we were trying to reassure her that that's all it was, a bad dream, but she wasn't having any of it. She wouldn't go back to that room. So we went to the reception and spoke to the manager of the hotel. I told her what had happened, and we thought she would just laugh at us, but she didn't. She was amazing, and she said she was going to look into the history of what the hotel was built on, and that she would get them moved to a different room immediately. We went back to the pool area, still reassuring her it was just a dream, and I noticed the marks and large bruises coming out on her ankles and wrists, and a massive bite mark with visible teeth marks on her chest. She also had scratches down her neck, and nobody could explain what had just happened to her. We still can't to this day, and she doesn't like talking about it. And we never did get to the bottom of it. I mean, if that's not the scariest story that you've ever heard. Imagine, when you go on holiday, you want to have a bloody good time, don't you? You don't want to get bitten by a bloody demon or something. Imagine that. I mean, the fact that this could have been, okay, let's go skeptical. I'm not a skeptical person, but this just for argument's sake, say that it was a dream. The bruising isn't going to come out. She said she feels like she's being bit way before the bruising for the actual bite came out as well. And the bite mark appeared and showed itself. So massive tells here, this stuff is actually happening to people. They're really experiencing this. This is why it's so important, and why I just keep banging on about it now. To protect yourself. It doesn't matter if you didn't class yourself as religious. You on your own are like a fragment of like beautiful light energy. You have every single bit of power in you to set an intention right now to be protected by a higher consciousness, to say that none of these unclean spirits can affect you or harm you. And we all have the ability to do that. Religion's got nothing to do with it. You are inherently the source and the intention on your own. So just make sure that you are protecting yourself every morning before you go out from people, places, experiences, these low vibrational energies. Just really make sure that you protect yourself, because we are all energetic beings, aren't we? There is, one thing that is inherently true is that we are all energetic beings. We're here experiencing life, and we're souls just going through this, and we're going to pick up on negative energy. We're going to pick up on all these things. And what we don't realize is sometimes actually it does really start to harm our spirits. You've got people who will indirectly or directly say things about you that harms your energy and your spirit. You need to be protected from it. You've got people out here who don't know you, in a split moment will send a judgment to you based on maybe what you're wearing or what you said. That energy sticks to you and you can be affected by it. You need to be protected from it. All of these things, they add to the harm of your energy. So I think if you're listening to this, I'm sorry to bang on, okay? I just really care about you and your protection, and just make sure that you're all right, because there's things going on in this world that we just can't even see, but we can feel it, can't we? It feels really thick at the moment. There's a lot going on spiritually. I don't know if you can feel it. You'll have to let me know in the comments what your experience is, but I know that at the moment I feel like I'm in the void. I feel like I'm being shown to learn certain things. And protection at the moment for me is absolutely key, and making sure at the end of the day that I'm letting go things that don't serve me and that aren't for me, and that I ask for protection from Archangel Michael too. I surround myself in like mirrors that reflect outwards back all of the negative energy that people send me, all the hexes, curses, and evil eye that people may be sending me through all kinds of means. I mean, I'm now in the kind of very small fry bit in the public arena talking to you lot about these stories. I risk obviously the repercussions there of negative energies or negative thoughts that you may have towards me, not you specifically, but the wider audience, or someone that may come across me and not agree with my views or whatever, which is fine. But then TikTok, there's over 7,000 people on there now, which is beautiful, but there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of thoughts and opinions, and because I'm the main source on those channels, it could be aimed at me, that if they're negative responses to my videos, it can come back to me. So I've made sure that I'm just protected in all that way. And if you've not thought about any of this before, it's really interesting just to do it, because you actually start to just feel really good. And if nothing else, if you think it's a placebo, that's absolutely fine. But if nothing else, humor me and see how much better you feel when you keep asking to be protected, for all emotional and negative blocks to be removed from your mind, body, soul, spirit, aura, and energetic field. Just trust me. I actually did a little protection cleansing a little while ago and this morning, and I feel really good for it. I feel more clear, I feel more present, I feel more connected and grounded. So I'll stop banging on about it now, okay? But just please make sure you're protected. I'm going to read you one more story because I think it's only right, and it's only a short one, but it's story 32, and it's called The Shadow That Walked the Halls. Now, this person says, "Hi, I've just seen your video on the black cloak figure in the care home, and I had chills whilst listening to it. I used to work in a care home and saw something very similar when a resident was getting close to passing. One day I came out of a room with a colleague, and as we were walking past the bathroom, I stopped as I dropped my notebook," and then she's put in brackets, "which we wrote in for position and pad changes, etc. She says, "I picked it up. My colleague was in front of me, and I kid you not, I felt something touch my bum." I mean, have we got a ghost pervert on our hands here? We don't know. But potentially the touching of the bum. If you were a ghost, would you touch people's bums? I mean, I wouldn't do that now, but if no one could see me, it might be quite funny. I'm not talking about in like a weird way, like a caressing of the bum. I think that's a little bit too lingery, But if you're there and you're able to scare people a little bit, someone just happens to have a nice bum, why not? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Are we ghost perverts? Are we not ghost perverts? I think sometimes there is a little bit of time for tomfoolery at all points, okay? Now, she says, "I quickly turned around and saw a shadow moving down the corridor and around the corner. And I turned to my colleague and I told him we need to check all the rooms as I've just seen someone wandering around." She says, "We went and checked and we were the only staff members on that small unit, and there were only 2 residents in bed. One was a lady who was laid watching TV, and the other was a gentleman on end-of-life care. He was still with us for a few more days, and until that gentleman passed away, staff were seeing dark figures and shadows. The sensors were going off, but there was no one in the rooms. And when he passed away, it all stopped. I think nurse stories are actually like a little bit of a favourite of mine at the moment. That and night terrors and kind of time slips. I'm for those as well. I watch a lot of near-death experience videos on YouTube because I find them really comforting. I think it's a really beautiful message that comes through from spirit through all of them, even though they don't know each other and they're totally different backgrounds, different people. But there was one lady on there, and she said that she had never experienced anything, of the spiritual realm, but she became a nurse. And when she was a young nurse, she started at this hospital. And she said she walked into the morning meeting one day and they're kind of all sat around in their chairs. And the lead nurse said, so-and-so in room so-and-so is starting to see family members. I think they might pass away today at around 11 a.m. And she said she sat there and no one else reacted. No other nurse reacted to this information. But she was sat there thinking, well, hang on a minute. What do you mean he's seeing dead family members? And you think he's going to pass away at 11? It was just so specific and so precise that it really freaked her out. So she said, all morning, I just kept thinking, I need to go and see so-and-so in so-and-so room to just, keep an eye on it. Like, is this information factual? Or, and why did no one speak up and say anything about it? It was just accepted as truth. So she says she goes back to this window. Because this ward, they've got windows, haven't they? You can see into most of the wards. And, well, it's like that in the UK. I don't know if you're listening from wherever else you're listening in the world. You'll have to let me know if wards are like this for you too. But she goes up to the ward window and she looks over at this gentleman. And she says, in that split moment, he sits up. He puts his arms up in the air. He smiles. He lays back down and he passes away. She then goes on to talk about her near-death experience, but she experienced that, and I think she was meant to. I think Spirit let her be there at the exact time, because there's no way you can just get there bang on 11. I don't think it was like bang on the dot, I think that she just got there around 11, and Spirit wanted her to witness it. And what an incredible thing to witness. Someone beautifully smiling at the end of their life because someone has come to get them and they've sat up and reached out to that person, accepted their death, and then they've just gone. I just think that's stunning. And you hear it, don't you? You hear so many people say that they see their loved ones. I know that you get the kind of skeptical people who think that every single spirit is a demon, but it's not true. In my eyes, in my opinion, it's just not true. I think the light is here and the dark is here. And what a beautiful moment to witness. And yeah, nurses just have the best experiences with that kind of stuff. So if you are a nurse or you know someone who's a nurse and they've got a really cool story, please make sure you message me. I really just love having a chat with you all. I know some people send me their ghost stories and they're really shocked when I reply. But it's like, I know that I have this platform, but I'm in no way, shape or form a celebrity at all. I'm not, it's really sweet and really lovely that people are really shocked that I reply. But I reply to people, and don't get me wrong, I don't know how big this platform's going to get, but I will always make sure that I can reply when I can. And every single story is really important to me because connection is beautiful. I love the joy that it brings, showing someone that actually their story is seen and validated. And I can't say that every story I tell is true, but all I know is that I am a very honest person, and I hope that that energy comes across with whatever I do. And I hope that I attract honest people that do tell stories. I have received a couple before that I think I know some people grammatically need to put things in ChatGPT maybe to it's just for their spellings. But those people say to me, listen, I've just had to put it through ChatGPT to spell for me correctly because I'm dyslexic or whatever. But it is a true story and you get an essence for that. But there are a few people over the year that have sent me a story and I think, oh God, this is so theatrical. It's funny. So I do have to use my discernment a little bit. But for the most part, if I feel that your story is completely authentic, I will share it and I will have a lovely chat with people. But yeah, as the page gets bigger, it's going to be really interesting to see what stories I receive. I know that America is full of demonic stories. You guys have the most scary demonic stories. I feel like England is way older. The UK in general, is way older. And I'm thinking we should have some crazy demonic stories from like places like Scotland and like really old places around the UK. But you guys have got demon stories for days that are terrifying. So, you know, if you're listening too, I'm going to need to hear your story, because that's a whole other level. We go from the nice nursing stories of people passing and like, you know, it being kind of a more of a lovely experience to this shit's crazy, you know, and scary. Now, I'm going to sign off, but I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day if it's early, and I hope you have a beautiful evening if it's not. And thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next one.